Let's get educated. That's why we're here, to bring you the stories impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses. It's time for a little education.
Well, welcome everyone to today's episode of Educated. I am Katie Petrick, as always, joined by David Fiorazzo.
Hi.
The author
Hi.
who wrote this amazing book
Brand
called...
new. Hot off the presses.
Ooh, hot.
Ooh, it's still hot to the touch.
All right. It's called Assault on the Image of God, and the cover is enticing enough, but the contents are what will keep you there. David, Let's talk a little bit about the book. How can they get it, and what should they expect when they read it?
Yep, Amazon.com. This will help you understand what's going on from not just a news perspective on recent events, but spiritually, the warfare going on behind the demonic movements and how to respond to them as believers. And the 16 very short chapters. I'm proud of myself, Katie. I wrote a shorter book. This is the first time. I tried to do it last time. Didn't work. Anyway, it worked this time. So you can get it on Amazon.com. Ebook is there. Paperback you can order. It's print on demand. We will be having an event at FreedomProject December 7 at 7 p.m. for you guys to either watch online, stream live, or you can attend if you're in the Northeast Wisconsin area.
All right. But before then, like as in some hours ago this morning, you had a show. It's called Worldview Matters. He does it every day. He has guests on. They talk about things. Who's today's guest, and what did you talk about?
Former transgender Laura Perry Smaltz. Her website is transgendertotransform.com. The title, Population Control, Driving Global LGBTQ Deception. So it's one of those things that it's not just the abortion or euthanasia movements we need to be concerned about. Transgenderism, you have these surgeries or start taking these drugs, hormones, they're going to be infertile. They're not going to be able to have children. This is all part of the demonic population control push. Former transgender Laura Perry. Go to worldviewmatters.tv to find out more to watch.
All right. Well, just a very, very quick reminder that you can catch Educated on the go by subscribing to the podcast on your favorite platform. All right. Ditch the resume. Forget about it. Members of Generation Z, Gen Z, are entering the workforce, and they're touting skill sets that they say are more valuable than experience or intellect. David, but what could be more valuable than experience or intellect?
Did you read that correctly? I don't know.
It was out of the mouth of a Gen Zer, so yeah, I think I did read it correctly.
Wow.
What skills do they have that the rest of us who have skills of intellect and actually being able to do things, what is it that they have that we don't have, apparently, David?
I don't know that I agree with everything in this article, but their humor and wit, that's part of it, that provides a little vibrance older employees apparently lack. Katie, you and I are a little older. Do we lack humor and wit?
Yes. Well, I have no humor.
We were still hired.
I have no wit.
So
I have nothing.
They've invented a term. It's called personality hire to describe their self-perceived function in a corporate setting, to provide all the jokes, banter, and playfulness needed in order to, quote, set the vibes. So who's in charge of all this? Where is this coming from? Well, it's a TikToker.
Oh, a TikToker.
Yep.
A TikTok.
And corporate America employee Bella Rose Martell, a 22-year-old, of course, self-proclaimed TikToker. Or, Katie, just take it away. You're younger. You can understand this a little bit more than I can.
So Bella Rose claims to be the chief vibes officer. Chief Vibes Officer. What does that mean? Take it away, Bella.
I genuinely believe that anyone can be a personality hire. And one of the ways that I like to do this is just leaning into my girlness. Past 2 managers, well, actually 3, but my past managers have all been men. The way that I've made things more fun, more chill is just by turning my male managers into girlies. This is what you gotta do. Every time they're like, hey, great job, you say, slay, slay. Things like that. And then whenever you do it enough, they'll start saying it back to you. And that's when you know you've won and you've brought the vibes to the workplace. Came out of the meeting I just had, and I took a minute and I was like, why were they so serious? We're talking about this thing with a kind of fast turnaround time, and they're like, okay, how can we automate this? How can we tag these people? How can we bring in the right people? How action items flywheel, like, you know? I left the meeting being like, why didn't we hang out longer? Like, why didn't we laugh enough? No, because y'all ever think about what it's gonna be like when as Gen Z, we're like in our CEO eras, when we're in our management eras, and we're just like, have our little ducklings, and we're like, slay girl. Like, way to do that for the first time.
Like, she sounded like a Valley girl.
Worse. Way worse. Way worse.
Way worse than a Valley girl?
Whatever company that she is working for, or at the end, how she says, when we're the CEOs, when we're taking over, every one of them will fail. Gone. Poof. She clearly has zero work ethic and understanding of how, like, businesses are developed, and then are able to actually succeed in what they plan to do. Because you have to have workers to actually do that. Setting the vibes, giving good vibes, hanging out will not produce anything but laziness. That is what that is. And the fact that you are trying to slay girl, be more like slay girl, and to try and get your male bosses to call them girlies shows a complete lack of respect for who they are as well. These TikTokers,
Are you surprised?
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised in the least, but it is
22 years old, and that generation.
It's not an age thing. It's not it's because 22 and they'll grow out of it. This is a completely different thing from when you were 22, when I was 22, when all the other generations were 22. We all have our issues. Every generation blames the one before. It's a song. So I understand that, but because we have the surpassing amount of technology, it flies by and it keeps growing, and all we do now is sit on our technology and don't actually think for ourselves anymore. It's worse and worse and worse and worse and worse than it ever has been. And it's going to keep getting worse and worse and worse because we're not thinking, because we want to set the vibes. We don't want to engage in any sort of work at all. And we don't know how to because we haven't ever done it. At least when, like, generations previous, like Gen Xers, you are notorious for being the lazy, latchkey kids. Like,
setting the vibes.
You actually still understood the skills, though. Now these kids are looking to the generations back, and they have nothing to go off of. I can look at my boomer parents and be like, I know what a work ethic looks like. I know how to do that. They look to TikTok.
Yeah.
And none of them have that. This is what they're being encouraged to do. So that's why it's so scary to me.
And they're watching some of their role models, I guess, workers in Silicon Valley. They go into these plush places. It's just all about entertainment and fun and ease, and they're pampered. They have these great lunch buffets and all these things. It's fun in the workplace. But at the end of this article, she says, so this is what you got to do, according to her, advising people to call their managers king. And every time they say, hey, great job, you say slay.
Slay.
All right. So, and I don't even know what that means, but she says when they begin to say it back, that's when you know you've met your performance goals. By getting your boss to say a word, performance goals, or she says, almost as important, right? Brought the vibes to the workplace.
Yeah, and even the entire thing about the humor and how, well, I bring the humor and the wit. No, you don't. Because to be a comedian, you have to be smart. You have to understand the world around you to be able to actually incorporate your jokes into these lines. Like Babylon Bee, what they do, their satire,
it's amazing.
It's not just like, oh, you can come up with that. You actually have to be smart and have intellect to be able to turn something on its head like that. That's the whole point of satire, is being able to see the world around you and what's bad around you and what you should ridicule, mock, to be able to make a joke out of that. That's not what they have. Getting your boss to say slay. Oh, that's so funny. It's so great.
That's amazing.
It is not.
Thought
humor
we had heard
wit.
Everything, and I'm sure we're going to hear more from some of these young. It's not all young people, but oh Lord help us. But anyway, guess what we've got coming up?
Ooh,
Dr. Duke Pesta. Stay with us.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on pristine quality bedding, towels, slippers, signature pillows, and much more when you use the code EDUCATED. That's EDUCATED, EDUCATED. support this show and a great American company.
And I love your ears. I love them. They're really cool. What's your name?
Catherine.
Catherine, what a beautiful name. That's my mommy's name. Well, nice to see. How old are you, 17? 6. And by the way, I like kids better than people. I wish I could stay and watch Wonka with you, but I'm not going to get to do that.
If you're the handlers of Joe Biden, why would you even let him be in these situations?
Duke, you remember everything I just said previously about getting a new commander-in-chief?
Yeah.
Now, you wonder why the nations of the world are laughing at this guy. You wonder why Hamas did what they did, the withdrawal from Afghanistan. The guy's more concerned about a six-year-old girl having funny ears and looking like she's 17. This is unbelievable where we are right now in the United States of America, and that literally, supposedly 80 million plus people voted for this guy? That's why Trump will win the re-election, no doubt in my mind.
Well, and look at this. This is at a Friendsgiving event. It's not a Thanksgiving event. It's a Friendsgiving.
It's a millennial woke term.
Yeah, and he also, by the way, excluded the term Almighty God from his Thanksgiving address, right? He conveniently cut out any message of God whatsoever when dealing with Thanksgiving. Yep, this is what we've got going on here. A Friendsgiving event. I want to ask that question to you again before we move on to the story of Bill Maher. We want to talk about that briefly, but the final question I want to ask you about this is, why do they know what he is. Why would you have him do this? Let Jill do this. Let your vice president do this. If I were running this guy, I would keep him in the basement. Don't ever take him out. He could. That's how he won the first election.
That's how he win this. He could win the second time by staying in the basement. Yep. I agree. Because people don't give a rat's patootie about the person, the persona behind the commander-in-chief. It's the idea. It's an ideological war we're in the midst of, and they'll have the Obama's people just use him like a puppet.
Now let's go to Bill Maher because, again, as we know, we started this. You opened the can early. I really don't think Donald Trump can win. I just don't believe that, and I think empirically a lot of evidence on my side for this. We talked about this the last time you and I met. Yeah, of course the polls suggest this, and to my conservative friends, I say, when we're getting drubbed in the polls, we call them lying polls, right? So, and now they're up, Trump's up a couple of points here and there.
Now
these are wonderful, right? Listen, before we get into it, I'm going to go. Right. You'll get the first word. Take a look what Bill Maher had to say about this president.
Okay, what do you think of prominent Democrats like David Axelrod calling for Biden to, quote, get out or get going? Did he say that? Get out or get going?
I believe in a tweet or two and some stuff. Look, people who think that Joe Biden is perhaps too old, they're right.
Perhaps.
Everyone ages differently.
I agree.
So Betty White lived to be 99. No. Mick Jagger is still twisting his.
Mr. Right. I have been the one making that case year after year here against ageism. I always said it's a case-by-case basis. But for that argument to have teeth, you also have to be the person who can go, yeah, but this is the case. And I've said it before. Do I think Joe Biden can do the job? Absolutely.
Yes.
I don't think he can win the job. And that's what I care about. He's going to lose because the people think he's too old. And perception is reality. I'm sorry.
Look, the fact of the matter is he cannot even do the job. I mean, Mayer agrees with me on this, that there's no way Biden is going to win. But he goes and says that he can do the job. He cannot do the job. You know that he's being manipulated by Susan Rice and Obama's people from previous administration. And so the point is that if he goes up against Donald Trump, I think he will be destroyed by Donald Trump.
And I disagree wholeheartedly, and I think that what Maher was really trying to say was perception is reality. And the perception, so he believes that Joe Biden can do the job, but the perception, he says, is that he can't. You and I both know it's not a perception. Joe Biden
can't do the job.
He's not doing the job. But here's the thing. If we're going to go with that statement, perception is everything, then the perception of Donald Trump is much worse than the perception of Joe Biden. I'll go back to what I said before. 39% of Republicans, or maybe of the whole country, maybe 39 support him. He's not getting one more vote for the people who hate him. That 61% who either are indifferent or despise him, they're not voting for him.
Now, a significant number of them will go for JFK Jr., I believe, because he's speaking a lot of truth into the situation right now. Still too far left for my comfort. But the fact of the matter is the American people are mad as hell because of the permanent coup d'etat against Donald Trump. They're seeing it every time in the polls. Every time you get this false accusation, this indictment here, indictment there, from New York to Georgia, the American people see what's going on here. And if he winds up in jail, you mark my words, they will rise up and they will reelect him president of the United States. Get the stake ready, dude.
We heard the same outrage in 2022 and how'd that work out?
Shut the front door.
I mean, exactly. Let me ask you this, and if we have to go a minute over or a minute and a half and over, we're going to do it. I'm going to ask you this question.
Yeah.
What makes you think that Trump is going to go over what he's got now, the 37, 38, 39%. What makes you think who's going to vote for him? Because I've said this to you before. There's not a single Democrat's going to cross the aisles to vote for him, number one. Number two, independents, 3-1, it seems in the latest poll, are going to go with a Democrat, not a generic Republican.
Oh, so you use a poll when it supports your ideas, but then you don't agree with him when it doesn't support your ideas. How convenient, said the church lady.
You've got it exactly wrong. I don't trust. You're the one who's inconsistent. I say, listen to me. The polls don't matter when we were losing big, and they don't matter now.
What matters is the doc's in the house. Dr. J is telling you the American people are mad as hell. They see what's going on, and they're going to reelect Donald Trump as president of the United States in 2024.
I caught you in a contradiction, and you went back to your talking point. You sound like a Democrat. I said to you, you accused me of being hypocritical with the polls. I repeat, when we were way behind, I didn't believe them. And when Trump is up 1 or 2, I don't believe him. So there is the truth, number one. Number two, you, rather than answer my question, went to your talking point. Yes. These hordes of American conservatives are going to turn the election. Answer my question, and I won't even argue with you. I'm going to give you the last statement because the red light is flashing.
But
where is he going to get significant or even minor votes from anybody in this country over the 38, 39% he already has?
Biden is going to lose votes. With independents and moderate, mild Democrats, they're going to go the Trump route. But Biden is going to lose votes this time around because they see the incompetence and they're also upset with the corruption within the Democratic Party.
Final quick question. Give one sentence answer.
Yep.
He'll lose votes, but what makes you think they're going to go to Donald Trump?
Well, I think maybe about 40% of those votes will go to Donald Trump because they think he's the lesser of two evils.
Boy, I'll tell you, that's another second bet. I'll buy you a cow full of states if he wins 40% of Democrats. There is much more to talk about, but for the rest of the story, check out the full episode of The Dr. Duke Show.
If you have a smartphone, tablet, Roku, or Apple TV, consider downloading the FreedomProject Media app. It's 100% free and includes all of our weekly shows, plus lecture series, archive programs, and award-winning animated videos for families like the Presidential Minute, Battles of America, and Heroes of the West. Don't rely on the social media giants to keep you informed. Simply download the FreedomProject Media app from your app store and allow notifications. And we'll let you know when a new video is ready.
Does it seem to you like your dollar there, it's not going as far as you'd like it to go?
Well, I tried stretching it and it ripped.
Oh, you know you can tape those back together.
Yeah, so I had to tape my dollar back.
Yeah. A new study is showing just how much money a single person, all the single ladies, a single person will need to make in order to get by, just to get by in each of the 50 states. We have 50 states here. From Alabama to Wyoming, we're showing you the numbers right here, right now. So my question ultimately here is, how much wood must a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck lived by, say, like Idaho? Or maybe California or Michigan, David. Do you know?
No.
Pick any state. I will give you what they actually don't pick them. I'm going to tell you the top 5 and the bottom 5. So this is actually a fascinating little story from CNBC. Yeah. And they took a look at the analysis that was done from the personal finance website gobankingrates.com. And it found a rather large discrepancy of how much money you need for a salary between all the different states. Right? And this is, again, just to get by, what their definition of get by is, I don't know, for a single worker. A lot of the article basically talked about how much you need, and it's related to housing costs. So basically, you can think in your head, where's housing the most expensive? To get by for a single salary, that's where it's probably going to be highest. And you'll never guess the highest salary.
Well, I was going to say California, but I took a sneak peek, and yeah, I'll just say aloha because it means hello and goodbye, right?
It does. Hello and goodbye. Yeah. Hawaii, they are saying $112,411 is needed for a single worker.
Wow.
To get by.
One person to
each
get
year.
by.
That's their salary, yearly salary. Then you're looking at Massachusetts at $87,909, California $80,000, New York $73,000, Alaska $71,000.
Now those are the top 5?
Those are the most most expensive, I guess. The highest salaries needed. I wonder what they all have in common. Oh, look at my shirt. It's the color blue.
And I wonder what factors play into that. What do they consider things needed to get by?
Yeah, and they're saying Hawaii ranking first is actually not that surprising because the cost of living there is typically among the highest in the country. Think about it. It does make sense, as well as Alaska. Hawaii is an isolated chain of islands, and Alaska's way up there by its lonesome. At least it's attached to land. And most shipping for Hawaii is done by sea rather than by truck or rail, because that would be fun to have a rail go straight there. And that then will increase the cost of consumer goods. If you know anything about economics, the suppliers are going to have to pay for that, and then they're going to pass that little cost along to you, the consumer. So, yeah, it's called the supply chain.
Okay.
We had issues with that a couple of years ago, didn't we? Now, land for real estate is also quite limited in Hawaii. I wonder why that is quite limited. That's sad. If you look at the results as a whole, the median income being $57,200, like in the whole United States, when you take a look at the average, all that, you look at the median, not the mean, but the median income of $57,200, that only covers the living wage for 30 of the states. So you better be making a whole lot more than that. Jeez. Now, where could you live? Where is it not, I guess, where could you get by on a single salary? Here we go. In the lowest 5 states, it's actually Mississippi. You need the least amount.
Good for them.
Go little Mississippi,
really?
Only just under 46,000, so it's 45,900. Then Oklahoma is looking at 46,000. Alabama is 46,577. Arkansas 47,111, and Kentucky's there at 47,318. So all of those states have things in common as well. I mean, I guess Southern living isn't so bad, or I guess Oklahoma, Midwest living out on the plains, not so bad. You don't need as much money.
I'm looking at those median home prices, though. I mean,
incomes.
Well, no,
you looked at the home?
At the bottom, the home prices.
Yeah, they had those on there.
Wow.
Yeah, this is, to me, I'm like, whoa, that's way out of my range. But housing costs. Yeah, they did. I forgot they included that. The median. It's the one that comes up the most. The median home prices in the South and the Midwest are slightly lower, and by slightly I mean a lot lower.
But they're both over $300,000.
Yeah, they are $311,800 for the South. In the Midwest, housing costs about $366,000.
Median.
But the U.S. overall median there is $410,000 is the median house. So here's the question to you: what income are you making? How much did your house cost? Where do you live? Or do you follow this? Or are you like an outlier? Are you unique? One of a kind?
I don't know.
Because you are. Each and every one of you are unique. All right. Well, that's going to do it for today. If you're a fan of the show, if you could like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things that they always tell us that we need to do on every video that we ever watch on social media. So if you are also a fan of the video platform Rumble, you may want to give us a little follow if you haven't done so yet. Why haven't you? Now's the time. Go to rumble.com/FreedomProject. And for David and myself, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting this show. Until next time, stay educated.